So yeah, I'm super excited to meet with them. Can you repeat the name of the collective again? Because it's an unusual word. I want to write it down and make sure I say it correctly if I need to.
Laarkmaa is how they say it. In English, it's Laarkmaa.
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 Laarkmaa. But
That's
they do.
awesome. Fantastic. And for everybody who's noticing, there is information in the chat of how to find their work. So if you're looking for their website, Kira has shared it into the chat for everyone. All right. So I'd love to meet them. So thank you so much.
Hello, dear one. We are Laarkmaa. Please give us your heart song.
Ann Tucker.
Ann Tucker, we are delighted to meet you and we bask in the wonderfulness of your energy. You have very great, wonderful light energy. We're pleased to have a conversation with you today. What would you like to discuss?
I would love to know about how we grow as souls. How would you, knowing what you know about us, about the human condition, how would you suggest that we grow as souls?
Wonderful question. We like that very much. The first thing that we would say that is instrumental in growing as a soul is to step outside of your personality's belief that everything is separate and that you are different. You are one, you are connected, but in your third dimensional environment, most of you choose to focus upon how you are different or special rather than focusing upon how you are the same and special through that sameness. So we would say a very good focus for the soul growth is learning to move away from separation, which includes judgment, blame, all kinds of things that are involved with competition. Anything that separates you is a thing to step away from, moving instead into cooperation, acceptance, kindness, patience, gratitude, these higher level aspects. There is another level that we would include also for soul growth, and that is utilizing the tools that you have been given. This is a planet of choice. And on a planet of choice, that is something that you must learn to exercise more fully with consciousness every single moment. Know that everything you choose is either unconscious as a habit, which is still a choice, or a conscious choice to make change, because you are beings of change. Life is about change, and you must recognize and accept that in order to grow, everything changes. It is fact, it is in a continual spiral of change. You have been given the tools on this planet of what we call signposts or signals. You call them emotions. We distinguish between emotions and your natural feeling state by saying your feeling state that you are born with is love, joy, trust, compassion, kindness, patience, gratitude. These are your natural feeling states, and they make you feel joyful when you are experiencing them. Emotions, on the other hand, are the signposts that say, hey, you're out of balance. You need to re-examine and find a different perspective, or you need to re-examine how you're acting. If you're feeling angry, sad, jealous, frustrated, any of these emotions that make you uncomfortable, it is the discomfort that is your gift. For in the gift, you find how your soul wants you to improve, what your soul is guiding you to do differently, how to change, how to move forward, how to evolve. Does this make sense to you?
Absolutely, yes. And the angels tell me all the time that we are the frequency of change. So it's a great confirmation. Thank you so much for that. I also would love to ask you, what is the from the your understanding of the Great Split? Would love for you to share your perspective on the Great Split.
We would love to do that. We see that on a planet of choice, even though magnificent opportunities arise for you to evolve, you have the choice to evolve at your own pace. And as the energies are coming in increasingly frequency waves of higher and higher dimension, that becomes very frightening or unsettling for some. And for others, it becomes exciting and something to look forward to. We see the Great Split as the moment when people turn their back upon the opportunity, clinging to what was, rather than being willing to move forward into what is and accepting it as it arrives, while being open and courageous as you step forward into the next moment and the next moment and the next, which are unknown. So the great split is a temporary, and we mean to emphasize temporary division, because some of you are choosing to evolve at a very quick rate by being open with your hearts open and aligning with the frequencies that arise. And others are choosing to back away in fear or clinging to what was in the lower frequency. So you might say there's a very fast train and there's a very slow boat, and you can take either, and they will get to the same destination, and you will be unified because you are a soul group. Humanity is a collective of one, but on a planet of choice, you have a choice of how quickly you wish to learn your lessons. We see that those who choose not to evolve quickly, who choose to take the slower path, will be held in a safe space. We call it the Golden Trough of Light, until they are ready to continue their journey when the great energies arrive in waves that they cannot handle. They will be held, their souls will be safe in the golden trough of light until they were ready to move forward. And then at that time, they will continue their karmic lessons and whatever they need to do, perhaps at a more accelerated rate by then. And eventually, you will all be together once again. No soul is turned away. You just have a choice of how quickly you wish to evolve. In our view, there's only one choice that makes sense, the one that steps away from pain and suffering and separation and hunger and war. But many do not see this, for they are too frightened to be able to see the truth. And as you are well aware, fear and trust, or fear and love, are at opposite ends of the spectrum. So if you can choose to trust the process, accept what comes, even if it is uncomfortable, knowing that it is a birth process and you are moving into a higher frequency, then you are on the fast train to evolve. And if you are frightened and you stay with clinging what is now, then you are choosing to take the slow route to get there. Is that
Beautiful.
clear?
Yes, thank you so much. And the experience of this split, is it an individual split or does it happen at one moment for the collective?
That is a matter of perspective. For each of you will perceive it as an individual opportunity or an individual challenge. But from our perspective, it's happening at once. The waves of energy arrive, you make the choice. But from your perspective, you may perceive it as, oh, this person's making a choice, now that person's making a choice. You may see souls who are choosing to depart this plane of existence. And you may know intuitively they have chosen to leave at a particular moment because their doorway has suddenly been opened. Each of you have the opportunity to have instant awareness of the doorway that is open to you and to choose to walk through it. Some choose to dawdle, drag their feet, take a moment, and it seems a little longer for them. But the waves of energy will arrive for everyone simultaneously. But how you draw that out through your own perception may be perceived as a separate, you would call it a timeline, we would call it an energetic choice point. Is
Excellent.
that
So that is,
clear?
it very much matches what the angels have told us as well, which is that there will be a flash of light, but that is not the only opportunity, that everyone will have a continuing and ongoing opportunity to make the shift on their own timeline. Is that correct from your perspective as well?
Absolutely. And we would like to just insert here that we do not hold the only truth. We never claim to hold the only truth. In fact, we tell people all the time, don't believe us, trust your own heart, because each heart holds wisdom of the universe. And we want to make recognition and note that what you bring through is very clear and very pure and very aligned with what we bring. In other words, truth comes from many sources, and the
Yes.
recognition of what is true or what is not true is held within your own heart's knowing.
Yes, I love that. And thank you for that. I think that's very empowering for everyone to realize our own connections is where we should turn first. I would love to ask about the concept of enlightenment, given this time that we are in where the earth is shifting and we are moving to this altered state, this higher state of awareness, and all of the traditions we've held around the concept of enlightenment as and I understand there's enlightenment moving into the state of oneness with all things, but as a destination, as something to try to work towards. If you have any thoughts about that or insights about the journey to enlightenment, that would be really interesting.
We would say that you must remember that you are a being of light. You are covered in a shell of density here in your third dimensional body. And as you move through layer after layer of density falling away, there is room made for more and more light to awaken within you. You have 12 strands of DNA, and as you invite more light in while ridding more shadow, more of the 12 strands of DNA open, allowing you to operate more fully. When all 12 strands are awakened, you reach the point of integration. And at the point of integration or full enlightenment, you recognize at that moment that there is no separation. You absolutely have your own I-ness of who you are and how you choose to be in the universe, but you simultaneously recognize that you are the same as everyone else. There is no judgment of better than, worse than, different than. You recognize without distinction. We are the same. I prefer this, you prefer that, but we are the same. We like to use a word that is a Mayan word to define this as saying, I am another yourself. The Mayan word is in Lakesh. And we like to tell people in Lakesh is your hello and goodbye. I am another yourself. It is said with love from your heart, from one being to another. Recognize the divinity and the lightness of each person you meet, as well as claiming the lightness and the divinity of who you are yourself. It is a joining and a moving towards unity. That is enlightenment.
I absolutely love the something you said earlier about the idea that when we meet one another, we should focus on the where we are the same, to find the unity between us as opposed to trying to focus on what makes us different, try to focus on and while maintaining our sense of identity, finding that harmony and the joy in where we overlap and what we share. I think that is a beautiful perspective shift as we move out into the world of rather than saying, how do I shine? It is, how do we shine together? I think that is a beautiful way to move more into that enlightened state just through our choice of thoughts. I think that's very, very practical and helpful. I'm wondering
Well
about
said.
as you talk about that moving into that higher state or moving into that more and more into that state of oneness. Um, what can you suggest that we do on a daily basis to help us in our daily lives to be more in alignment with those that with that 13th with awakening all those different 12 strands? And is awakening the 12 strands, is that the same as opening up the higher and lower chakras? Is it where you're trying to bring the energy all the way up to the upper chakras? Are those two things the same or are they different?
They are related. They are related. One is a linear progression, which is hierarchical from lower to upper. But that is a pathway that most of humanity likes to think in learning, is to move from the lower to the upper. So that is one way to see it. We see the 12 strands of DNA as a soup, much like your wisdom soup, where you collect all of the gifts and the wisdom that are held for you in multiple dimensions, and then you integrate them to know who you are. It is not a hierarchical or a linear perception, but it is a spiral perception of opening and opening and opening. We also say that the answer to your question about how to get there or what to do, the first thing to do is not think of it as a goal to reach, for that is a future thought.
Mm.
Instead, think of it as how am I in this day? And in everything you do, make a conscious choice. You go to the grocery store, smile at the people around you. You have a driver who's enraged when you're trying to cut you off in traffic, send them love. When you see someone that you think's having a hard time, tell them how beautiful their smile is and make them smile. These are little choices that are enlightening in their action. And every time you do one, you peel off more of the darkness of your own shadow. You help them recognize their shadows and you share light between you.
Beautiful, beautiful. And so, in the process of trying to awaken the 12 strands of DNA, because I asked the angels just the other day, what would I need to do to reach that higher state of consciousness? I had a dream about enlightenment. And so when I was awake, I asked about how do you reach enlightenment and how would they define enlightenment? And they said to be more conscious of they said when you become fully conscious of your thoughts. And I think that matches what you're saying. It is in and day out of always finding that the beautiful perspective in all things. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. More light into the now moment and making choices from that higher vibrational point. That is how it is achieved. It is not a goal to be set. It is a living in the moment and the next moment and the next moment as they arise, always being conscious of how you can be the highest version of yourself and be kind to everyone else.
I love that. Absolutely. And that's so actionable, right? That is such a beautiful thing we can take and each of us can apply in our daily lives. And that's just beautiful. I love it. Is there anything that you wish I had asked you that you would like to share with this group specifically, with the people who are here and the people who are listening to this later? Is there anything you wish I had asked?
Well, there's a perspective that we would like to share with you if you are willing to hear a perspective.
Thank you.
And
Yes.
that is a perspective on unconditional love. Unconditional love, of course, has no judgment and no blame. But there is something that many miss about unconditional love. Unconditional love is full acceptance of yourself, your situation, your circumstances, and each other. You cannot progress in an evolutionary spiral if you are clinging to something that you are hoping for to be different, believing in that will be different, or not simply accepting. Nor can you move in the evolutionary spiral if you're clinging to blame and judgment. So we say that unconditional love must be fully accepting of everything. Our friend and colleague Mary Magdalene says often, she says, accept all experiences. They are all for your benefit. Love them all. Do not have preference that keeps you from loving everything that comes to you, for everything that comes to you is for your benefit. We completely agree with that Pleiadian perspective. And we would say also in this same vein, your religions on this planet have taught you the concept of forgiveness. And while we recognize that forgiveness has a place in helping people to move beyond anger, pain, grief, whatever it is they may be holding as an emotional signpost, when you are completely in unconditional love, there's nothing to forgive. You accept that whatever that person has done or said was done because they needed to learn something or you needed to learn something. So forgiveness drops away and you move through that portal quite quickly, just simply recognizing, oh, there is nothing to forgive because it's all on purpose. We're all here together learning lessons.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. We have loved, and our whole group is just so full of love for what you've shared and for your generosity in sharing it. So thank you so much for the conversation. And we all will definitely look forward to speaking with you again in the future. Thank you so much.
We appreciate the opportunity. We love you. Good always.
Welcome back, you guys. So great to have you with us again. Although that was really awesome. Not to say that they've upstaged you, but
We're a team.
exactly, exactly. Phenomenal, phenomenal. And what was thrilling for me was to hear because I don't because I try to stay clear as a channel myself. I don't listen to a lot of other channeled information because I feel like I want to make sure I'm not influenced. And so it was a rare treat for me to hear another beautiful source of wisdom, and to see how tightly, I mean, like literally, like coming at it from a different angle and using different words, but how identical the wisdom that, I mean, it's just amazing to me and exciting. It's so exciting to hear that. I loved it.
Well,
Absolutely loved the channeling. Thank you so much. That was gorgeous. And to be in that glow was beautiful.